Welcome back to my Transformers Prime episode reviews. Today, we're taking a look at the episode Partners, not to be confused with the Rescue Bots Academy episode of the same name. In this episode, the Autobots capture Starscream, and Arcee finally learns who killed her former partner Cliffjumper. This episode begins with Starscream having a therapy session with Soundwave. Seriously, this definitely feels like Soundwave is the rung of the Decepticons here, and Starscream is supposedly pouring his spark out to him as he comes to grips with his place in the universe. Although, it's debatable how honest and truthful he really is being at this moment. This is followed by Arachnid being a little tattletale and telling Megatron of Starscream's failure to recover an experimental weapon from an old crashed Decepticon ship. After the intro, we see Arcee talking to Cliffjumper's grave. Aww, so sad. But I am glad that once again we acknowledge Cliff's death, because not only is it an important part of this episode, it's also vital to Arcee's character. Meanwhile, Starscream and Arachnid arrive at the Harbinger's crash site, where the two have a catty exchange of words. Now, ladies, there's work to be done.
Idiot. The ship's systems haven't been activated for eons. The Autobots could detect its energy signature.
Optimus, our scanners have detected a Decepticon energy profile.
So, Arachnid webs up Starscream until he gives her the location of the other half of the ship. But they are soon discovered by the Autobots. Arachnid manages to escape, but Starscream is captured. Starscream then claims that he wants to join the Autobots.
Yeah, right. And I've been lobbying with the Fallen.
Ooh, nice double reference. Not only is it a callback to the Cybertronian game that they first introduced earlier in this series, which also made its way into its sister series, Rescue Bots, but it's also obviously a reference to one of the original 13, Megatronus, aka the Fallen. Which, now that I think about it, I haven't really watched much of Robots in Disguise, but doesn't Megatronus actually show up in that series? The Autobots debate whether they can trust Starscream, and I can't help but be reminded of Starscream from Transformers Armada, who did leave the Decepticons and join the Autobots after he learned that Megatron planned to destroy him, much like Megatron and Starscream in the last episode. It would be interesting to see Prime Starscream allied with the Autobots, although I doubt the kids in this show would warm up to Starscream the same way that the kids in Armada made friends with Starscream in that show. So Arachnid discovers the lost weapon, but the Autobots aren't too far behind her. And I find it funny that they stuffed Starscream in the back of Optimus Prime's trailer. The Autobots confront Arachnid as we finally learn what this mystery weapon is. The Immobilizer. Obviously, an homage to the G1 invention of the same name, which was originally created by Wheeljack, but apparently in the Prime universe, it is of Decepticon origin. Meanwhile, back with Arcee and Starscream, it's kind of cute how they're both getting along over their mutual hatred of Arachnid. Unfortunately, Starscream accidentally sticks his landing gear in his intake and lets it slip that he was the one who extinguished Cliffjumper's spark. And I love Arcee's angry face here. Oh, she's so mad.
What is that?
The key to your cuffs.
What for?
Cliff would have given you a fighting chance.
I don't know if it's the great animation by Polygon Pictures or the amazing voice acting by Steve Blum, but I actually feel for Starscream here. I kind of believe him when he says that he doesn't want to fight Arcee. I honestly don't know who the better actor is here, Steve Blum or Starscream. Like, is Starscream such a good liar that even when he's lying, it's hard to gauge what his true motives are? Or is Steve Blum basically playing him as if he's so pathetic and cowardly that there's not even a hint of insincerity? Either way, bravo! He did a great job with this scene. And Suma Lee Montano definitely brought her A-game too. This is without a doubt one of Arcee's best scenes and episodes. But enough of me praising the voice actors, who will probably never even see this video anyways. Starscream betrays Arcee and reveals his true nature as he slashes her in the stomach and uses the key to escape his cuffs. Ooh, you gotta cut those nails, Screamer. Back with Arachnid and the other Autobots, she immobilizes Bulkhead and then Optimus Prime, leaving just Bumblebee as the only bot standing. But he cleverly fools her by pretending to be frozen, knocking the immobilizer out of her hand and destroying it. Meanwhile, Arcee and Starscream continue to fight. Starscream appears to have the upper hand, but Arcee manages to turn the tables on him. And she is about to finish the job that Megatron started in the last episode, but then Bumblebee stops her. And they just kind of let Starscream go. Really? I mean, I know Arcee is hurt and everything, but you couldn't just grab him, slap the cuffs back on him, and stuff him back in Prime's trailer? On board the Nemesis, Megatron scolds Arachnid for leaving Starscream in the Autobots' hands.
My second in command is a prisoner of the enemy, which means all Decepticon intelligence could be at the fingertips of the Autobots.
This is true. Again, I'm reminded of Armada Starscream, and how when he joined the Autobots, one of the first things he did was hand over all the data he had, including the location of the Decepticons' base, which the Autobots immediately used and went there and rescued the Minicons in the Decepticons' possession. Although, as we know, Prime Starscream is no longer in the Autobots' custody. More on that in a second. Because, back at the Autobot base, apparently the immobilizer wasn't quite as destroyed as we thought, allowing Ratchet to repair it and return Optimus and Bulkhead to normal.
And Arcee.
She's rather resilient for a two-wheeler.
Hey, I think Arcee's pretty tough for a six-wheeler. What kind of functionist comment is this? Seriously, this kind of felt like Ratchet was saying Arcee was rather resilient for a girl, but they wanted to be more subtle in their sexism, so they went with two-wheeler instead. Either way, I really don't like how this makes Ratchet look. I'd like to think that he wouldn't judge another bot based on how many wheels, or other parts, they may or may not have. So while Optimus consoles Arcee over her rashness of letting her grief get the better of her, we see Starscream bashing the cuffs off of his wings, freeing himself and giving us another wild card in this show. And this episode ends with a dedication to Captain H.L. Larry Cullen, who was Peter Cullen's brother and the person who inspired the voice of Optimus Prime.
I said, but Larry, he's evidently he's a hero truck. He's a hero. And his face got somber and he said, Peter, if you're going to be a hero, be a real hero. Don't be a Hollywood hero type with all the BS and all the yelling and screaming and trying to be tough. Be strong enough to be gentle. Okay, Larry, yeah. So as his voice is ringing in my ears as I'm driving to the audition, and I read the copy, and Larry is just coming out. His voice, the way he talked to me, and it said, you know,
I'm Optimus Prime.
no, it was, my name is Optimus Prime.
Well, this was a great episode of Transformers Prime. I loved Starscream and Arachnid's little cat fighting. I just wish we had more of that. And I love the idea of Starscream potentially joining the Autobots, similar to his counterpart from Transformers Armada. Again, I kind of wish that he had joined the Autobots at least for one episode. That would have been really interesting to see. I can just imagine that they wouldn't have told Starscream the location of their base right away, and they would have brought him in via ground bridge. Think of all the funny hijinks they could have had trying to keep Starscream from going outside, or otherwise discovering the location of their base. Him interacting with the humans would have been really funny. I can just imagine June arriving at the base and being like, "Oh, who's your new friend?" and being completely unaware that Starscream was a Decepticon. Maybe the two of them even have a cute little moment where Starscream confides in her how horrible his old unit was. And, of course, I loved Arcee and Starscream's moments together in this episode. Her finding out it was him who snuffed Cliffjumper's spark. Their fight together, it was all awesome, and a great character building moment for her. Rage Mode Arcee is the best. Well, what did you think of this episode of Transformers Prime? As always, let me know down in the comments. Remember to like, subscribe, and do all that other fun stuff. And I'll see you here next week for the next episode of Transformers Prime TMI. So I'll see you back here next week for that one.